but changed by my Father's flames. Fight your fears and heal your pain, and victory will be in your name.
I used to be weak, but I'm not weak no more. I found the strength of my ancestors deep down in my African core. I used to be frightened, I'm not afraid no more. The Father blessed me with the heart of a lion and a warrior soul. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer. Yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on let's conquer, oh I will conquer. Rise up and conquer, conquer them.
Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of days. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my blade. Fire burn all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chain. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David turns Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart rip up and stitch it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people to go meet it up, pass me the Congo drum and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up.
So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer. Yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on let's conquer, oh I will conquer. Rise up and conquer, conquer them.
Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You're everything, Father. Thank you. Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you gave us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of love. Send down your warriors with the hello. They carry down to the end of days. No matter how the devil try trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this time is coming. I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no rudder. Could it be that we is my soul?
No weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer. Yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on let's conquer, oh I will conquer. Rise up and conquer, conquer them.
I am a man. I am a champion. I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the various radio stations: 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 91.9 and 91.5 RealFM Radio, 92.9 Sister Al Radio broadcasting out there in Hillsborough, Carriacou, and 94.9 We Noise Radio in Brooklyn, New York. For those of you joining us from the diaspora, a very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video stream, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is you are joining us from. A very special good morning to you. It is Friday. It's a beautiful Friday morning. It is the best day of the week for me. I love Fridays because it means the beginning of my weekend. And for most of you, I'm quite sure it means the same thing. For those of you who have to work, well, I'm sorry, but those of us that don't will be enjoying the weekend for you. All right. We are, of course, very happy to be alive. One of the most important things is to be able to get up in the morning, breathe a breath of fresh air, and say, thank you, Lord, for another day. And aren't we ever so grateful for that? You know, there are some countries around the world that are now struggling with COVID-19. Some people who are struggling dealing with it, and we are blessed as a nation. I must say, we are really, God has been smiling on us. He has been shining on us. For whatever reason, our prayer warriors have been working overtime, and He has been blessing us. He has been blessing us because we have so far only had, 160 cases since the onset of COVID-19 in the region in March. We have only had those amount of cases, right? It is really, really important for us to, one, be grateful, but also not become complacent, not take for granted the blessings that we have gotten so far as it relates to COVID-19. I'm just reading a press release here. I'm sorry if it takes me away from you for just a moment. This morning, it's Friday morning, so we are going to open the lines very early for persons to call and to contribute. Let us know what's going on in your neck of the woods. I've recently realized that we've had a massive breakdown in persons following the protocols. I've been going around and looking around. I travel on public transportation, so I am privy to persons not wearing their masks, even on the buses anymore. Persons just don't seem very concerned with following the protocols. You even hear people condemning the protocols, talking about, well, we don't have any COVID in Grenada, so why do we need to follow any protocols? I mean, it's not like we want to wait until we start having COVID before we start following the protocols, or even start asking persons to do so. Just in our neighboring country of Trinidad and Tobago, we have seen, and we are continuing to see, what is happening there with COVID-19. Just yesterday alone, they had 11 deaths. And I did read, I read an article that spoke to a family member of a person that passed away. And I'm just going to briefly share with you quickly, but before I share with you, I see my co-host walking in, and I want him to be seated comfortably before I tell you this. And of course, let him share his good morning, his pleasantries with you. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning, Miss Duncan. Good morning to our listeners out there. My apologies. I did not get to work late, so don't think it's a habit of me coming to work late.
Yeah, but thanks for bumping into my studio later.
I am here. I was here on time. Of course, you are all important to me. I am always very happy for the opportunity that you give for me to come and share my thoughts and to, of course, listen to your thoughts. But there are some people who we attach a slight level or higher level of importance to. And of course, the deputy political leader was having a short discussion with me on matters of importance, which I cannot share here publicly. And Ms. Duncan was quite aware of that, and she could have said to you, Mr. Bola will be in shortly because he's engaged in a discussion.
But why should I when I know you will be here to say it yourself?
Okay, great. So I am saying it to you. So my apologies, but good morning to everyone. We are happy to have you joining us by, whatever means you are, whether you're listening on the dial, as they say, the radio, or you are on one of the platforms. We always welcome what you want to share with us. We hold no objection to whatever your views are on whatever topic we are discussing. So feel free free. Engage us, give us a call, send us a message, whether it's WhatsApp or on the Facebook page or what have you. We are going to read your comments. Those that we can read publicly, we do. Those that we can't, we often them go back and look at them and try to find answers to questions that are being asked or to verify statements that are being made, because we take nothing for granted. Not what we say, neither what you say. We always try to find the fact out of every situation and to be very as factual as one can possibly be. So sit back, relax, call your friend, let them know HARDTALK is on, tune on the radio, get onto the computer, turn on the phone, whatever device they use, and be part of the conversation.
Okay. Well, Mr. Bola, I was just about to share with the public a story that I came across this morning. I came across a story this morning. And it had to do with something that's occurring. Well, we all know the situation in Trinidad and Tobago. We know about their rapid increase in the number of COVID-19 cases, but also in addition to that, there is a rapid increase in the amount of deaths. There, I think, in 21 days or so, they are up to, in 14 days, right? I got 21. In 14 days, they're up to 66 deaths.
66 deaths in 21.
66
in 14 days.
In 14 days. 66. And that is very concerning. I know if you're not concerned, I am desperately concerned, because it's just a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, it's almost like, working out almost 5 a day.
Yeah. It's a little too close for comfort. But I was sharing with the general public a story that came across on their airwaves recently of a young lady that passed away. Now, this story I thought was necessary to share with the general public, because there is the common view that persons who survive COVID have done well. And that's good. You've survived and so on. So the people who are not getting vaccinated and the people who believe that their immune systems are strong enough tend to use these kind of things as an excuse, a rationale, a reason as to why they won't get vaccinated and so on, or because people survive and so on. But I want to share this story with you. And this family thought it was necessary to share the story. I'm sure there are more families like that want to share a story, but maybe in a little bit too much grief to do so. But I'm going to share this story with you. And this is from a daughter whose mother passed away. And I'll just give you a synopsis of what it is, because it's kind of lengthy to read. They said that the mother contracted COVID-19. She was a COVID patient. And she recovered. They said that they spoke to her. She was full of energy. And they were laughing and happy because she survived COVID. However, she seemed to have had an underlying condition. And while she might have survived COVID, her body became too weak to deal with the already underlying condition that she had. And she passed away. So even though she won the fight against, or they're saying that she won the fight against COVID, I think what we have to bring into perspective here, Mr. Bola, is the fact that your body, maybe your immune system, might be strong enough to fight off the virus.
The photo you're showing there with the article, is that the mom or the daughter?
That's the mom. Quite young, huh?
I find too young to be a mom. From what I am seeing.
Too young, Mr. Bola?
I don't know. I mean,
I have big children.
Maybe that was a 12-year. She was 12-year-old when they took that picture. I mean, it's just. I'm looking at the picture and I'm kind of wondering.
But she look older than me, Mr. Bola.
She doesn't look that old there.
But she look older than me.
I don't know how you look. I never see you on screen. I'm seeing that picture on screen. Anyway.
And the daughter is saying she was a single mother and so on. Nobody really expected that to happen. And it's very sad, these stories, because you would hear of people speaking about, oh, well, I'm strong enough to deal with COVID-19, and my immune system is strong enough, and all I have to do is just strengthen my immune system, and I would be fine. And I think we need to start changing the narrative.
And let me just chip in here just on that point. Because as a people, we have to be able to decipher that our physical strength, our muscular strength is not our immune strength.
Yeah.
Yeah? And so I think there is, from the utterances I've been hearing from people, from the conversations that people have been engaging, there are many among us who feel, because physically, we are strong, we are robust, you have good muscle strength, you can lift a bag of cement, you work in construction, and you have been lifting 5 lengths of half-inch steel at one time.
Yeah.
So you're strong, you're robust, and you say, my immune system is strong. Now, your immune system and its strength is not tested by your physical strength. Yeah. You will only know how strong your immune system is when you are being attacked by a virus, a bacterial attack, or something. Something that will deal directly with your immune system. And your physical strength has nothing to do with it. So for a lot of us who say, oh, my immune system is strong enough, how do we know?
Yeah.
What tells us? What test did you do? In my mind, and I keep making the point, and that's my disclaimer here, I am not a medical doctor, but I do have a good enough idea of how some medical theories play out. And maybe there's a test that you can do that can evaluate your immune system and tell you how strong it is. But what really makes you know whether your immune system is strong or not strong is when you contract a virus, a bacterial attack, something that is going to make you ill. How the level of illness that you get, or if you survive or die, is what makes you know the strength of your immune system. Are we saying, as a people, or some of us, are we saying that we are prepared to take the risk of allowing ourselves to become contaminated by the COVID-19 virus and then look a chance to see if our immune system is strong enough? What if it's not strong enough and we die? What if we have underlying, as we have heard from the story that you gave of that mother from Trinidad, that single mother. She beat COVID. She recovered from it. But the underlying, and sometimes we forget quickly, but from the onset of COVID, there have always been more precaution or extra warnings coming from the medical professionals saying that those at greatest risk are those who already have underlying factors, meaning you're hypertensive, you are diabetic, you have a heart condition, bad heart condition, respiratory problems, whatever it is, you have cancer, they have been saying that for people who already have some illness, some ailment, in other words, they're saying your immune system is further compromised. It's weakened much further already. And then to have COVID on top of that, what it does is finish everything for you. There are some of us living with health conditions that we are not even aware of. It hadn't gotten to the stage yet where it has made us medically ill enough for us to run to a doctor. So whether it is your sinus bothering you, or you have bronchitis, or whatever, and you may not have been taking it on seriously because you get a little cough, you have the cold, you suck an orange, you think, I'll take care of that. And we are not aware because we have not been medically tested and treated for an ailment, and it's there and it's lingering on. And on top of that, COVID hits you. It completely kills out your immune system. And that is what brings death and the other things. And so when persons are encouraged to take the vaccine, and it is said, and that is based on the science, that the vaccine doesn't necessarily prevent you from catching the virus. or prevent you from spreading the virus. But what it does is that immune system that you're talking about, that we know very little about, that we have read very little about and understand little about, it strengthens that. It makes it more robust. It puts it in a position. And I have explained once to a group of people. I say it is, your immune system is like a businessman. Yes? Mm-hmm. Who does business and carries a certain sum of money on his way home with him on a daily basis. The COVID virus is like thieves who wants to take away the man's money. Yes? So they will attack him. The vaccine is like a gun. It's like a weapon. That businessman armed with a gun feels and he tells himself now, I have additional protection. Or he has a bodyguard. Probably is a better way to put it, rather than saying a gun, because I don't want to encourage anybody. Maybe the analogy of a gun is not the best.
Maybe a security system.
Right. So he sets up a security system with alarm, or he has security guards who drives him home at night with the money, so he feels more secure. That is what the vaccine is about, making you feel more secure, strengthening your safety and security against the robbers, so you are less a victim. But without that security system, without the security guards, without people driving him and protecting him, he is more exposed to the elements that wants to take away his wealth. So you are the businessman. The vaccine is the security system. The COVID-19 are the elements, the thieves, the robbers, those who want to take away from you. Yeah. So having the vaccine is like having greater security. Doesn't mean that they may not still try. Doesn't mean that they will not attack. But you have a greater chance of surviving the attack.
Yeah.
And that is what the vaccine is. It gives you a greater chance of surviving if you are attacked by COVID-19. So the fact that you hire a security firm, the fact that you have a driver, doesn't say that the robbers and thieves would not attack. Mm-hmm. They will still try. They will look for loopholes, and that's what COVID does. It looks for your weakest point, the weakest time to attack you. And if it can overcome your system, then it does what it does. But if your system is strong enough and can fight it off, like your security guards are armed and are trained well enough, they can fight off the bandits.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Bola, I just want to share with the public that we said 11, the 11 deaths. And it's easy to follow it. You can just go on Worldometer. It's that site that we've been using right through from March that tells us how many people from any country in the world really have been infected with COVID-19 and how many cases, how many deaths, and so on. But also, it's important to note that the 11 deaths that they recorded was from May 12th. Yesterday.
Who are you talking about?
Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, okay.
The death toll for yesterday, which was the 13th of May, is 21.
It has doubled.
So it has doubled. So I don't know what more than that we can say to people. You know, there's this saying that when your neighbor's house is on fire, what do you do to your
They said you should be wetting yours. You should hand a bucket of water to the neighbor as well. I think that is missing in this thing. When your neighbor house on fire, wet yours. No, I understand that. And I agree with that, because you want to protect. You don't want the heat to take yours to catch it afire. But I also think you have to help the neighbor put the fire off.
For real.
Because if you don't help the neighbor to put the fire off,
the fire can still be burning.
It will still be burning, and chances are it might be so raging, even though you're throwing water on your house may still catch.
Absolutely.
You know? So we need to take cognizance of what is happening right around us.
Yeah. And how can we wet our house?
To stay safe, and to try to help diffuse
what's happening
in the other place.
But a lot of misinformation. I think the the misinformation in general, that infodemic that we have going along with this pandemic and the infodemic seems to have been winning this fight.
I agree with you.
Because persons, and not just here, because I follow regional news as well, and I follow a lot of the press conferences. I speak to family members in Trinidad, try to encourage them to follow the protocols, and you would hear the stories and the things that people would say, not very different to that of our people. What our people here would be saying about not wearing the masks, and the masks making you sick, and that the pandemic is a hoax, and all of these things are things that you hear uttered regionally. It's not just a Grenadian thing. It doesn't make it more right, but I'm just saying that it's a sentiment that is shared by many other people in the Caribbean. The only difference I think that we have here as a people is that we have a lot more logical thinking individuals, but then also our population is a lot smaller.
But how did you decipher that we have a lot more logical thinking individuals?
Because a lot more of our people have been following our protocols.
Yeah, well, we don't know that for a fact. There are a lot of people following the protocols, but we don't know if it is a lot more than other places. Neither. The facts that we know is that as a country in the sub-region, we have the least uptake of vaccines. Every other country in the sub-region, the uptake of the vaccine is greater than Grenada. Quite rightly, we have a smaller population, and I agree. No.
But I think, Mr. Bola, I think that small uptake of vaccination doesn't have to do with. I don't think it has to do too much with the logical thinking of people. I think it has a lot to do with that false sense of security that we have developed as a result of handling COVID so well, that we have thus far only seen 160 cases since its onset in March. We've only seen 160 cases. We've only had one alleged death of COVID-19. So I think it's that false sense of security, that thought in people that we will remain safe because our protocols to them appear to be ironclad.
Now, I agree with you that is a factor, but it is not the only factor.
No, I agree.
Go back on the ground.
It's not the only
factor. Open your ears, listen to people. I mean, some of the things people say are so ridiculous as it relates to the vaccine. I don't even want to repeat some of them.
I know.
I mean, they're so ridiculous. One lady said to me that a nurse, and I am not bashing, because sometimes when you make those points, people think you are bashing the profession. You make points about the teachers, you express yourself, you're bashing them. I'm not bashing anybody. We have made it absolutely clear. It is the right of anyone, and I think the government has made it absolutely clear that they will not, I heard the Prime Minister say it, I heard other government ministers utter it, they will not go to Parliament and legislate or put legislation in place that makes vaccination mandatory. It's left up to the individual. However, encouragement is being given because there is value. Because the government trusts what they're doing, they trust what they're asking you to do, and they will continue to ask you. And I've seen now others are joining in saying, it is a good thing, let us do it. But when a young lady said to me, and you know, I'm still wondering if I should,
I want to hear, tell me. I want to hear, Mr. Fuller. You can't just bring something up like that. No,
because some of those things are so ridiculous.
Yeah, but I want to hear.
And as I asked the young lady, did she, as the nurse who told you, did she give you facts? Did she tell you where she found that information out? What website? Did she give you a name of a doctor or a scientist, or where the study was done, when the study was done? That for young ladies of childbearing age, they should not take the vaccine because it will prevent them from having children.
I heard that saying.
No. I mean, okay. You said that. Well, where did you get that from? You are in the medical profession as a nurse, and I respect that, and we need to respect that you would have some knowledge and so. But what research was done to factualize what you're saying.
Right.
And I mean, there are so many other things that I'm hearing people say. You know,
Yeah,
a lady told me
heard...
she wants to go, but she has to wait because she has to build her immune system first. I say, but in the first place, that's what the vaccine will do for you.
Mr. Bola, but that is not the thing, you know. How do you know when you have built your immune system? Is there a battery light that comes up on your hand that says battery full to mean that your immune system is up to max? Isn't building your immune system something that is continuous in the things that you do, your physical activities, in the food that you eat, and so on? You can't just suck orange for a week and feel that that helps to build your immune system. I think we have a big misconception.
Because you don't know what our immune system is.
And yes, there's a big misconception as to what the immune system does and how it works. Like, for example, and I'll give you a very personal encounter. Someone very close to me is ill with the flu. That person is on an immunosuppressant, meaning that the condition that they have requires for them to take medication that reduces the reactivity of their immune system. In other words, it dumbs down the immune system so it doesn't react to everything, right? Because based on their condition, what happens is that the immune system is basically seeing healthy cells and attacking it as unhealthy, right?
He had to get our glasses for the person's immune system.
This individual contracted the flu recently, which is something that normally happens with people on immunosuppressants. Anything that pass, they get in it because they have no defense towards these things. Now, when that person contracted the flu, what they had to do was take that immunosuppressant so that the immune system could kick in a reaction to the flu virus. They did not have to drink any vitamin C or suck orange for a week and them kind of thing to kickstart the immune system. The immune system kickstarts on its own. When we take vitamin C and eat our colored fruits and vegetables and so on, we assist the immune system in doing these things. So when you people sit down and they talk about, I have to build up my immune system, who told you in the first place that your immune system was weak and needed building? Who told you that when you drink your orange for a week, that makes it better? These things are things that you must do continuously to continuously strengthen your immune system. So when people say these things, it baffles me because we do not even understand what we are speaking about, but yet we say some of the weirdest things.
And we speak with authority, eh?
And with authority.
And we shade all over the place. I mean, there's something floating around on the platforms now with an interview done with a gentleman talking about all of the vaccines are on trials.
But
and
first of all, who is this man?
That's my question.
And what gave him the authority to speak on these
What is
things?
his profession? Where has he studied? What qualification does he have? You know, and I'm hearing the host. I'm hearing the host. Oh yes, that's a very good point you make. A good point from what source?
Exactly.
What is your status? Who are you? Where did you come from?
But what standpoint is it a good... Okay, how do you determine if something is a good point? Is it a good point because it sounds good? Or is it a good point because there are a lot of facts backing this?
No, I think it was a good point.
I think it
was a good point because his accent is different to ours.
Okay.
Because up until now, I have not heard any empirical data. I have not heard him say, I am quoting from a study done XYZ time, by whom and where. I have not heard a quotation saying, well, I have worked on patients who have been attacked by the COVID virus, and these are the things that we found out. I have not heard the individual say, I have participated in a case study of 100 people who have been vaccinated versus another 100 who have not been vaccinated, and they were exposed to the COVID virus, and these are the results. Henceforth, we conclude such and such. I've just heard an individual with an accent talking, and you have some host saying, oh yes, that's a good point, that's a good point. Hearing someone talking about some convention that Grenada signed. What convention can you sign wherever that can surpass and suppress the constitution of the country?
Mr. Bola, I just want to respond to a comment that's on the the live video, and that's why I say when people listen, they must listen attentively and properly. This person is saying, so Miss Duncan, you're telling me if your blood is low, for example, your body won't tell you in signs like lightheadedness. Absolutely obvious. If your blood is low, and we're not speaking about blood here, and that's why some people must learn to stick to the point. This is not blood pressure or diabetes or hypertension. Well, hypertension is blood pressure or anemia that we're speaking about. We're speaking about the immune system. Now, mind you, you could have lightheadedness, and it's not your blood pressure that's low. You could be diabetic. You could be, there could be a number of things causing you to have
going through a glycemic process.
In order to find out what is causing you to be lightheaded, you have to do certain checks, don't you? You can't just say, well, I'm lightheaded, that means my blood pressure high, so I go in and drink some, what did I drink for blood? Garlic. I go in and drink some garlic.
Or some
I'm feeling a little dizzy, my sugar might be low. Let me go and eat a mango. You cannot just make these judgments based on how you feel. There must be scientific data in terms of blood testing or whatever testing a doctor will do that will determine what is causing you to have these symptoms. In the same way, mind you, there is nothing that tells you your immune system is weak. You don't get lightheaded if your immune system is weak. You don't get dizzy if you're or a headache if your immune system. There's nothing telling you that. So just saying that, well, I had to suck a couple orange to increase my immune response before I take the vaccine, that is an unfounded statement because you do not know if your immune system is weak. And mind you, in all of this that we are saying, we're not saying that you don't have to build up your immune system or eat the foods that are necessary to help, not to build it up, but to help maintain a healthy immune system. And that is where we're missing the point. We are not trying to build a healthy immune system because you have not identified any problem that is causing your immune system to be weak, to build it up. But you have to maintain a healthy immune system by eating the colored fruits and vegetables. I don't understand where this argument is coming from. People saying, oh, well, I have to build up my immune system first. So if that takes a month, 2 months, a week, 3 weeks, we don't know.
Well, they don't know how long it takes to build an immune system because you don't know. The only time, except you have some sort of test, some sort of blood test or something prescribed by a doctor that can tell you what your immunity level is or so, it is until you contract an illness.
Yep.
And how severe that illness is on you and your body's ability or inability to fight the illness is what gives an indication.
If your immune system is weak or strong.
Or strong, yeah?
Yep.
And I am saying, and we are saying, do you want to wait until you have contracted an illness, and in this case, the COVID-19 virus, to know whether your immune system is capable or incapable?
Because remember, there are things working in your body that sometimes works against your body, yeah?
Of course.
That don't give you any signs or any symptoms. Imagine there are people who have cancers and so on that don't even know they have cancer until it's in the late stages.
In fact, cancer is known as the silent killer.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can be carrying on with great ailment with cancer for years.
Yeah.
And don't even have a sign or a symptom.
Yeah.
And by the time you get the first signs and you check, you are way gone. You are too far gone.
Absolutely.
You know, for almost anything to be done to you. And hence the reason people say, well, oh boy, she died so fast, or he died so fast. Only last week they discovered that he had the cancer. Doesn't mean he had the cancer last week.
Or she he had it working against
for so long.
Yeah.
Killing his or her system out, but only last week they found out.
About
because only last week you start seeing symptoms.
Yeah.
And then you were urged to go to see a physician, and they did the test and they found out. But you may have been under that illness, or have the illness been contracted that illness years ago.
Now, mind you, Mr. Bowler, cancer is a virus that works against your immune system as well. Now, why weren't you getting signs signs before that told you that your immune system
Was weak.
Or was under attack and needed assistance from something else to help strengthen. And that's what I'm saying. You don't just take these kind of luck and chance with your health. You don't just say out of the blue, listen, I feel like I need to boost up my immune system.
It is believed that some types, depending on where it attacks you, that there are some signs that comes on it that most of us ignore because we don't know them. You know, we don't know what they're saying.
Yes.
You know, because they're very minor. They're not severe enough to put you down in bed for days, and so we ignore it because we're not sure what it is.
We have a call on the line. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Just a minute. Good morning, Mr. Bola, Mr. Duncan.
Good morning.
How do you do?
Very well for now, thank God.
I've been listening and I couldn't resist. I've been calling because I don't know how I could add to the conversation at all, but you know, very, very interesting the analysis that you all have been doing. And only yesterday I was in St. Andrews, Grenville to be exact, and I engaged a young man, young enough person still, and I was able to speak to him through or by somebody else who was speaking to his brother. I didn't know they were brothers and so on. And it had to do with the same vaccination, the vaccine, whether we should take the vaccine or not. And just as you're explaining, you and Mr. Duncan now, is that it's a lot of theories, a lot of things that people are saying, and they don't have a clue of, as I was saying to him, that, you know, sometimes we speak of things that we do not have a clue of, you know.
Yep.
And I wouldn't call it authoritative because we can rely on what they're saying. But somehow, as I was saying to him, that it's fun, it's strange that we're saying that, okay, government is not doing enough and they're not hearing this, they're not hearing that. But I said to him, but how come you hearing all that you're saying to me? All these things, all the negative, all the conspiracy theories and how comes those things are available to us? Because that is what we delight in, that's what we are interested in, that's what we want to know. You know, and when people tell me saying that they should use the Calypsonians or use some other means to get the message over or across, I mean, sometimes I'm being baffled by this thing because sometimes some of us could lose the message within the jingles, and how much would maybe an odd, you know, a jingle being done by a Calypsonian or an artist, how much of that would be able to be shared through that short thing? But you have officials from the Ministry of Health, you have other scientists, doctors, and so on, explaining to us almost on a daily basis. And like, we shut our ears, we stop our ears to certain information, to the information that we should be receptive to. We don't want to listen to it, or we pay little attention to it, and then we listen to all the conspiracy theories, you know. And I question, why are we more interested in listening to these people than the expert who we should be listening to?
Gossips.
You know, why is that the case? I don't know. And then we make excuses. On the one hand, we say not enough information. On the other hand, we're saying it's the wrong set of people that sharing the information we're using to disseminate the information. But as I was saying to him, well, so tell me, what is the difference between I coming and tell you something and another person telling you, and the same thing that I would have told you, and you didn't believe me or trust me for whatever reason, but the same thing that the other person have told you, you believe? You believe it? So, because what I told you was a fact, whether you like me or you didn't know me or you don't believe in me or whatever, I am telling you what is a fact. So the other person also is telling you what is a fact. It's the same thing. You know, so we make excuses by saying it's not the right person speaking. How the same thing during the referendum? We had two referenda, and we got the same results.
Yes.
You know, and people make all sorts of excuses. So maybe all now, so the consultation should be going on.
Yes.
But while we are in a crisis, I mean, should a conversation, or should consultation, or should the imparting of information? Yes, it's a continuous process. But should that be forever? On the whole question again of whether people should take the vaccine, or people have a right, it's a right whether they want to take it or not. And whereas that may be so, you know, but that is just looking at it broadly. But if we're looking at the bigger good, the general good, you know, and we're looking at it from the point of view of a country, you know, you're trying to protect, because that is the responsibility of the government, that the powers that be, to the best of their ability to see how they could protect the population. And whereas you are saying that no legislation is going to be passed, nobody it will be forced, but at the same time, it is our expectation that people would be informed, and people would do the right thing, and so on, and be vaccinated, because that is one of the ways that we can prevent the spread and maybe mass death, and as the scientists would have explained. So I don't know what is so difficult in understanding that. But as I say, I know it's a work in progress. We have to continue to inform. But my problem is that we take too much interest. We spend too much time in the old talking, in the sexy and sensational information, and to my mind that will not and does not help us. That cannot help us. That just cannot help us. We see what is happening around us, right? Our neighbor Trinidad and Tobago, I think one day yesterday or sometime they had 20-something deaths as a result of COVID. Yeah, so we have to take note. We have to be careful of what we do and say. And when I still hear people saying, yes, we have had a very low level of COVID, despite the 160-something that came down with the virus, but we have only had one death, and of course it was imported and all of that. But we cannot be complacent. People are just too complacent. I mean, I traveled yesterday, and I'm telling you that there are still a significant number of us that do not wear any face covering, nothing. We do not observe the protocol at all. No sanitizing, no wearing of face covering or face mask, so nothing like that, and so on. So my appeal would be, as you all are doing, extremely good job on radio, sensitizing the public, making us be aware. My advice, I could only add to the conversation and advise our people to be wise. Use our head. Let's use our brain, and let's try to do the right thing. Absolutely. And let's try to encourage others to do the right thing, and stop politicizing and polarizing everything. We're making everything a political issue, whether it has to do with our health or the education of our children or ourselves. Or, come on. We have to do better than that, But as I say, I just thought I had to call and add my voice because, I've been listening to you two people, and, the conversation is so rich, so interesting, and
Thank
so
you.
on. So, Mr. Boland, Ms. Duncan, just continue to have a good day.
Well, thank you.
The information. Right?
Thank you for your part. You have played your part. You have helped. You have encouraged. We appreciate that. Yep. This is a call day encouraging people take the vaccine. In fact, the minister have said that what we have in stock in Grenada will expire
by the end of June.
End of June, somewhere thereabouts.
So persons need to be vaccinated with their first shot by the 17th. In order to make the
17th of May, right? This in order to get the deadline
for the second shot.
But what is even more interesting, which is a point I've shared with several people before, not exactly in this way, because I've heard people say, well, I'm waiting for this one. I've heard people say they're waiting for the Cuban version. And I said, okay, that's fine. But when will that be in Grenada? Well, we don't know because you just don't know. Look at India, who has been the greatest producer. Those that we have here in Grenada came from India. Mm-hmm. It may be 2 years based on what they're saying, based on what they have analyzed. The present condition in India, for all they are going to be making from now onwards, they will be using it internally. As a matter of fact, some people believe that the company in India may even face some legal battles because they have signed contracts with many countries for millions of doses.
But they have already started facing them.
But the situation with COVID is so bad because India has been shipping out and not necessarily inoculating enough of the people. As a matter of fact, when the second wave started and the thing started getting serious, when they did a check, India then had vaccinated less than 2% of its population. Yep. A population of almost 1.4 billion people, 1.3 billion plus. Yes? Now, India has to concentrate. And based on their ability to produce, while they have the biggest factory in India, they are still also looking forward to be getting vaccine from other countries. So, for example, the Russians, I understand, with the Sputnik, they had sent some already and is expected to send more. I don't know where else they're looking. I don't know if they're looking to China as well. But what is clear to us is that small, underdeveloped countries like us here in Grenada and the sub-region as a whole may not see vaccine coming out of India for another year and a half or 2 years. But the minister qualified that by saying, when we come to the end of what we have now, up until now, they have been trying, but they don't know where and when they will get again. And it doesn't necessarily mean only AstraZeneca. They are looking at others, because I think just last week too, the WHO gave approval to CitysoundFM, which is the Chinese version. Yes, I am not sure that the Russian version has received WHO acceptance as yet. I heard a bit of news some time ago, which gave the impression that they are still awaiting that approval. Yeah. But for sure, AstraZeneca has been approved. Those 3 that the US utilize, which again, it has been approved, but you can't get.
You can't get it.
Moderna and Johnson and Pfizer has not been shipped to any country as far as I know. It has been produced and used locally in the US because they have a mandate for it, you know. The uptake is so great that as they produce, as a matter of fact, there were some states in the US that were in upheavals saying that we are not getting a sufficiency of supply to inoculate our people in some states. So they do not even have a production that can supply the basic and local needs than to export. Yeah. So we are only playing Russian roulette, if we can call it that. Definitely. For those of us who are saying, oh, well, I'm waiting. Waiting for what and for when? You have it available now. Grab it now. Because at the end of this batch in June, we don't know when and where the next batch is coming from. We don't know if it will take 6 months, if it will take a year, if it will take 2 months. I do know that the Ministry of Health, Foreign Affairs, and everybody is trying their best. They have the government of Grenada, through the Foreign Affairs Ministry, did sign a protocol or some arrangement with the Russians 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Right, for the Sputnik.
For the Sputnik, in which they have agreed to supply 1 million doses for the sub-region. Grenada will be the hub. It will be coming here, and from here, distributed to the other islands. My understanding is that based on the number of sub-regional countries that would want an uptake of that vaccine, we may just be entitled to about 20,000+.
Right.
Right? So that means in giving the 2 doses is only 10,000 people, thereabout, that will be able to receive. So, but when would that be coming? That again, I don't know. The date was not given, but that's one little ray of hope in these darkish times that we have. So it's just an appeal to people. Yes, there are so much conspiracy theories out there, what it does. I mean, I get tired sometimes of hearing some of those things.
And sometimes it's important to switch off, Mr. Bowler, because it can become frustrating. Now, there's a comment on the live video that says there's a lot of misinformation circulating concerning COVID-19 and the vaccines. I think the struggle here is for us to debunk and diffuse those super spreaders of those false truths. And that is really what it is. It's a struggle.
False truth.
False truth. Well, it's probably false truths. Those mistruths.
I think that writer really want to express, how false it is, but I don't think there's anything like false truth.
Yeah, but the writer is so correct. It is really a struggle.
Yes, it is.
Because you have so many unsuspecting people who are just gobbling up this information. And the caller before was absolutely correct, that we tend to gravitate mostly to the negative. We gravitate mostly to the false information. It's not that there isn't, or there is an insufficient supply of knowledge and information and guidance out there by the ministry officials, by other officials in the health department. It's not that there is an insufficient supply. I think the problem is that it's what we choose to gravitate to, and I don't think that there is an oversupply of false information. I think that too many people are too concerned with the false information. And so we have too many people spreading the false information more than they would spread the good news. Because it doesn't matter how much good information or good news you put out there, or how much positivity you put out there. If people are too concerned with negativity, that is what they would gravitate to. That's what they're going to consume. So it could be 10,000 positive pieces of news and only 100 negative pieces. People tend to share more of the negative pieces of information. So the challenge, or like the writer said, the struggle here is trying to get people to want to hear the positive news, to listen to the positive news, to be more encouraged to be positive and to share information that would help more than hurt people. And I think that is one of the biggest struggles that we have. Not so much debunking and diffusing, but getting people into the mindset of wanting to share positive information. And that's where the struggle comes in. But we have a call on the line. Let's take it. Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Duncan. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning
Hi,
to you,
good
sir.
Good morning. Mr. Bola, Mr. Duncan, you know what I realize what's going on? When something happens, you have a lot of doctors, a lot of unlicensed doctors coming and give information. A lot of engineers. I remember with the road in Molina, a lot of people who don't know about engineering or come and give the view about what the government should do. What the government should do. And presently now with the COVID, you have a lot of doctors. Because I think every licensed doctor in Grenada here register, and the government do it among the doctors. But now you have to, after a pandemic now, going right around the world. Doctors, there are a lot of doctors that was undercover, unlicensed doctors, come and give the views. Misleading people, confusing people, right? And the people now gravitating to the false information. I ask myself about that question. The people who gravitate into the false information, would it take someone that they know, not an engineer, not a doctor, to go to that doctor for attendance? Would they call the person that they know, go to the person they know is not an engineer to build a home? They will not do it. They will go to the real engineer and the real doctor for attendance. So the same doctor that giving the information, giving the right information, what to do to protect yourself. You don't believe in them, but you believe in the people who know, definitely they had no knowledge in engineering. They know the doctor, but you believe in what they're saying. Right? What I do believe people should do. As parents, as relatives, you should take precaution and do what the licensed doctors say. They have been trained and they know what they're saying. The government gives us enough information. And part of my post, who call it force, we grew up together, right? And doing very good. No, as the person saying, the government not doing enough. The question: what are this person? What are they doing? Are they giving out information to encourage people to go and take vaccine? What is spending time in to give more information, discouraging people not to take it? I would say if you could encourage one person to take the vaccine, and they could discourage 10 persons, you feel much better than encouraging one person to take the vaccine, and then discouraging 10 persons not to take it. And then you go come and ask the question, what Ms. Duncan doing? Ms. Duncan and Mr. Bola and the Grenadian people who, on the positive side, and know and love people and care about people, they give them information to encourage people to go and take the vaccine. That is the only way. The vaccine is the greatest way you could protect yourself from the virus. You could protect yourself from the virus.
All right.
Old talk and misinformation, it will not help you. What could help you is to get the facts, not stick, but facts, and give all the facts to people who really care and love them, not misleading them to go the wrong way. I remember culture and say, we're going the wrong way. And people who discouraging people, they are leading them on the wrong path. And if you love people and care about people, you only want to see them do what is right and not do what is wrong. So, Mr. Williams Duncan, you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, and have a blessed one yourself. You know, the column mentioned in his deliberation there, doctors. You know, and I think
they're not doctors, you know.
No, I think he's making a reference to a lot of people know.
Yeah. They call them pseudo doctors.
Right.
Pseudo doctors.
Well, I am not now wanting to talk to or about pseudo doctors. I want to talk about the real medical professionals who have studied and are licensed to operate as doctors and are here in Grenada. It's really baffling about the great silence of our doctors. Yeah. I mean, you have facing us squarely in the face a pandemic. Mm-hmm. I have not yet heard, maybe there are those who did it, but I have not heard it. Maybe those in the public sector, those that are employed with government might have spoken out. But we have so many private doctors, or so many doctors in private practice, I should say.
Yeah, that could lend their support.
Many of those, or many of them, have benefited greatly from the state by receiving scholarships from the state to acquire the knowledge and skills that they have. But I have not heard them. I have not heard them add their voices to that of the Ministry of Health. I have not heard them speak on the vaccine. I have not heard them speak on this protocol. I have not heard them advise the Grenadian people as to what they should do. And sometimes we see, in the absence of good advice, good, thoughtful, relevant thinking, and men and women who have the knowledge and skills taking up the responsibility that they should, it leaves the space vacant for empty barrels to come in and make a lot of noise.
Absolutely. We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Ms. Johnson and Mr. Bowler.
Good morning to you, sir.
Happy Friday to you guys.
Same to you.
Thank you.
I mean, I need to weigh in on this discussion because things like last week has been bothering me. How petty we can be as a people. I put myself in with the discussion concerning vaccine and why we shouldn't get vaccine and why we should. And then there are the keyboard warriors, the doctors, the enlightened doctors, and all those that feel they have a freedom of speech. Now, I'm an advocate of freedom of speech, but I always say freedom of speech is not freedom of expression. If I say I'm going to kill you in your face, that is freedom of speech. If I do it, it's an expression. So what is happening now with this vaccine, what I want to call government? Everybody talking. I can listen to the program with this guy, not doctor, but this guy with the sister Carriacou, and his associate created on his program, and they are saying like if this is a fact. I mean, nobody asking if he's a doctor, nobody asking if he's qualified, whatever field he was in, and he's still listening us. No, I am fully vaccinated. I got my second dose last week, which is 4. So I'm good. Like you all been always saying, everybody will be different in their feelings afterwards. As with all vaccines, you know, the doctors clearly say that. Yeah. Secondly, I've been hearing the talk that Dr. Sean Charles and the Minister of Health is being arrogant, like they want to beat on people to the vaccine. My God. Come on. If any one of us would be in all these head officials' position in the world, like Dr. Fauci, imagine when Donald Trump was telling people we could drink some chlorine and some real light. You look at Dr. Fauci's response to that. He only says like, what is this guy saying? You have medical professionals telling you, eat a green, since day one, Dr. Martin was saying that. All the health officials saying that. Yet you have people proposing that nobody in the government was saying that, and then they say no, government people are not supposed to be given the message because government cannot be trusted. How else do you want to hear it? The government has got to do, not only health-wise, all aspects of the country. So the people are saying the government is not enough. Good on you. You can sit there and do that, right? If you in the fire, going to feel the heat.
Definitely.
But we have people there, they want to wear masks, they want to have parties every night, they want to do what they want to do, and the heritage material, as they say, the heritage material, they want change. But change for what? You know, I listened to a meeting last night in Willis, so this guy had his butt mess show. And it's like to me, I listened to all the program because he's saying, oh, if you have to hide your ears. Let me tell this idiot. people will watch social media, right? And numbers of social media don't mean nothing. It doesn't mean nothing. In social media. He is stating why your program, this program here that I'm calling into, can get 20 viewers or whatever viewers and all kind of nonsense. America has so much millions of people. Millions on the phone. Millions of people.
300 plus million.
And on any given station, you cannot get 300 goods. You cannot get that. You understand? It's because of I'm curious to the program because of nonsense they are saying. The nonsense, that's why. And I don't say that people listen because they don't believe what this guy is saying. He is telling people that they are unemployed. He's saying he's walking away, but you're going to turn a drink of beer. He's saying, why now? Forget it.
Of course, forget it.
You can do this. But anyway, Mr. Pola, we talk about it. We don't tell nobody to go to the vaccine. Right now, I ain't telling you nobody got to the vaccine.
But we need to encourage them still. We need to encourage.
No. I've been called stupid. They say it's pandemic. They say I have big lady saying that she heard from a nurse friend of ours that there are people dying in the general hospital with clockboard and people just bringing the COVID. And so I finished. I let you finish. So I asked her, I said, the cell phone you have in your hand, the keep me bringing it? The Samsung phone or the iPhone? The keep me bringing the shoes that way? Do we make cell phone together? The keep me bringing it? Do we make Chevy? Do we make Ford? Do we make Carriacou? The keep me bringing it? When you go online, you buy it on Amazon. Just keep me bringing it? You know, that's the bottom. Let me hear how great I think because I learned it. I stop telling people what to do. Well, I don't tell them what to do, but I mean, I fully vaccinated and I know the of it. I have family members that actually had the COVID. None died, thank God for that. But and then I get the last one before I go. I'm hearing the saying, well, I went over the Cuban one. So okay, no problem with Cuba. I have no problem with Cuban medicine. So are they saying that all over the years, nobody left any country to go to Cuba for medication and died? You know? Nobody go for ISIS and come back blind. No. So Cuba is the perfect country in the world for the vaccine. So I'm waiting for it. Yep. So how do you know now that the Cuban vaccine is going to be better than the Moderna, the Pfizer, the Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca? How do you know what will be that effect as far as you know? How do you know? And then why not questioning how fast Cuba made their vaccine? Who's that up?
Yeah.
Well, good questions. All right. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, for some of those who was talking, as he rightly said, how quickly the vaccine was made and all those things. I mean, people are just making excuses.
Yeah. We have another call on the line, and then we have some comments on the live video that we want to read as well. Hello, good morning. Good morning, caller.
Sure.
Hello?
Yes,
Hi, good morning.
Hi, morning. How are you?
We're good. How are you?
I'm doing fine myself.
All right.
You know, we talk about vaccine a lot, right? But, you know, I just wanted to add something, and we can look at it in a more basic form. If you are teaching a school, and your student, one of your students is your own child, the expectation of the entire class is the expectation of your child also, correct?
Well, it should be, yes.
That's right.
And so, as being the teacher, you expect more of that child because, listen, you're my child.
Mm-hmm.
So, too, in a church, a pastor can tell an adolescent or impose on an adolescent that they should live the worldly life when they might have about 5 children and all of them in the church and they in the worldly life.
Mm-hmm.
You got to fix your business first.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I say this to say that we have private businesses that are imposing on employees to take vaccine. And it's so dread that the imposing so tough that you actually risk terminating them as a result.
So, do you have any knowledge of who these businesses are that's imposing on their employees? Because you see, we don't want to make broad statements that we're not able to back up.
I wouldn't call on the air, but I'm employed with one of such business.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm not speaking of.
And when you say imposing,
you have to take the vaccine, otherwise you go home.
mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm not speaking of hearsay, them say I'm a part of one of those businesses.
Right. So yesterday, and I don't want to break you off, but yesterday we had a conversation surrounding this very thing that you are stating, in terms of, is it right? Is it lawful? Is it unconstitutional for something like that to occur? And I think what is most important before we start even having these conversations about who is imposing and which business is imposing upon employees what they should and should not do as it relates to vaccination, we need to first hear from businesses or the Employers Federation, the Trade Unions Council, and these people need to sit along with a legal fraternity and have conversations surrounding what this means. Because remember, even though we are dealing with a situation where you would want your employees to get vaccinated, you also are dealing with a situation where if they are not vaccinated, what does this mean for my business as an individual? And we're speaking from the employer's point of view. So while I understand the plight of the employees and whether it is right or not right for them to want their employees to be vaccinated, or whether it's mandatory for them to be vaccinated, there is also the flip side of it that you have to look at. Will them not being vaccinated jeopardize my business? Because whether you get fired from not getting vaccinated or you lose your job because the business can no longer function because its employees have come down with COVID and cannot work, you're still out of a job, So we have to kind of look at it from two sides. And I
am actually looking at it from two sides. So trust me, I'm actually looking at it from two sides, because at the same time we have to look at it. It's just like yesterday I was speaking to a busman, for example. You say I'm a bus owner. I drive my own bus.
Right.
I provide a public service.
Right.
Now, I don't want to take the vaccine. But if it comes push to shove where it's placed that, okay, you're providing a public service, so as a result, you have to be vaccinated. You say, as much as I don't want to take the vaccine because it will hamper my business in a negative light, I will take the vaccine, not because I want to take it, but because of what is being imposed. And I understand its directive. A lot of the businesses, based on stipulations and restrictions, they force their employees to be vaccinated.
So let me ask you this, and I'm glad you brought up this point. So let me ask you this, right? He does not want to be vaccinated. Did he give a reason why? But that's not the question. He didn't give a reason why he doesn't want to be vaccinated.
Yes, he gave a reason.
Okay. However, he would not take the vaccine unless it is imposed upon him, right?
I shouldn't say it like that. There are two terms. Right now, he will take it if it's imposed because of the service that he. So that's
provided. My question. So that's my question.
However, he will go ahead with the vaccine when it's comfortable that it's no longer an experimental thing, because there are to a lot of people there is a lot of if and there's a possibility, and you understand, and we ought to understand that there are some people that are very skeptical when it comes to medical things.
So I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
My question is, he does not want to take it unless he is certain that it is not an experimental, as he's saying, experimental thing that's happening. But he will take it if it's mandatory. So my question really is, if it becomes mandatory, will his concern now disappear as a result of it being mandatory? Because I don't understand the reasoning.
His concern would not disappear. Let's look at it in a different point of view. Let's say I need a fan.
Right.
But I'm looking for a commercial fan with an iron blade. I need a fan. But I'm looking for a commercial fan with an iron blade. But all where I go, it's not there. It's plastic blade I'm seeing.
Right.
What do you expect me to do? I need it, huh?
Right.
I would get the plastic blade.
Right.
Now, we have to understand that this is in his circumstances, that's his bread and water that we're talking about. That's his livelihood. So if it's being placed in a situation that you're telling me that I can lose my livelihood if I'm not, come on, let's be human.
So let me ask you this. We are saying to you that not taking the vaccine, there is a chance of you losing your life. Which is most important to you? The fact that you have lost your livelihood, or the fact that you may possibly lose your life?
And I like the word that you're saying. Now, not taking the vaccine, and I'm not contradicting because I still haven't brought in my point as yet. However, not taking the vaccine gives you a possibility that you will lose your life, right?
Right.
In the same breath, taking the vaccine, you still have a possibility of losing your life. That's how some people rationalize the thing. Then, like, for example, I heard a parent speak. I could take the vaccine. However, my 4 children can't.
Yeah, we're listening. Go ahead.
Right? And in her view, it's like, okay, if something is for something, let's be it across the board. Because my kids is still open to the thing that I am trying to prevent. And in her book, I prefer die and leave my kids. Not my kids die. I live my life already. They ain't live theirs yet. But there is nothing to protect them.
But you know, if 80% of the adult population gets vaccinated, it limits the chances of our children contracting.
All the statistics and all this analytics and everything like that. We do understand that. Well, I do understand it. I don't know I can't speak for for others. However, there are a lot of people that looks at it in a different point of view, and it's right. Yesterday I had a discussion with someone, and we were saying that now. The message is going out wrong when people, and that's the thing with Grenadians. Sometimes we want to express something, but we don't express it wrong. So we'll quicker say the government is not doing enough. All right? I don't think that the statement should be that the government is not doing enough. It's not what you do; it's how you do it. All right?
So tell us how they should do it.
Because, for example, let's give that an example. There are a number of press briefings, like I was listening to one with GTA this morning. And quite a lot of information was made public there. However, I believe that there should be some, because there should be some sittings. Trust me, it may cost, but at the end of it, it will reach out more, because as you rightfully said earlier on, the negative tends to be publicized much greater, much faster, much more intense than the positive. But how much of the positive is being put out there by representations? So to with doctors, how many doctors you see come out and say X by Y by Z, medical certified reputable doctors? How many of them you see on the speaking out and giving? Yeah, the only time you hear of positivity of any vaccine is when it comes to the Ministry of Health saying something, whereby there are many other stakeholders that should get on board in terms of publicizing the positive. But where are they? If it was a negative, the whole of Grenada would have been on it, though.
So my question is, how do you think government can encourage private individuals, right? Because we're looking for solutions here, right? I understand, and we have made it very clear that not enough of the private community is speaking out. Now, government cannot mandate that the private community speaks out. They would have to, on their own, want to. So how do you think that we can encourage private individuals to do more sensitization, to speak out more on vaccines, and to try to make it less political? Because at this point, I think that no matter who speaks on it, no matter if it's a private individual that just feels the need to go out there, that somebody somewhere will turn it into a political issue. So how do we now encourage individuals privately to come out and speak out more on the benefits of vaccines, why it is important to get vaccinated, and these kinds of things? How do you think we can make that difference?
Sad to say, but understanding the society and the country in which I live in, called Grenada, Carriacou, and PT, I think everything is by incentive. If there is not an incentive, there is not a partaking. Let's keep it real. That's the society that we live in. We're festered with a people in this country that if there is not an incentive or a benefit, I'm not on board.
So you think we should incentivize
Let me just tell him something. Please. Carl, I've been listening intensely, and I think you have more that you want to say. But Miss Duncan is hitting you fast and furious. You're not getting, you're not getting a chance to really let out. I can sense that there is something more you want to tell us, and I want to give you that opportunity. But I just thought I should butt in as you talk about incentivizing. I've heard, I think it was over the last weekend or somewhere thereabout, that I think KFC and Pizza Hut was making an offer, some place where they were doing vaccination. I think for every person who went in and vaccinated was getting a box with KFC and others getting pizza. I don't know if you heard about it, but
I heard about it.
I heard, and I can't remember all the details. I'm sorry about that. I just heard it. Something either I was going through YouTube or somewhere, but it flashed to me, and I said, "Oh, that's not a bad idea." But how much more business is? So is that kind of a thing what you're talking about? Getting the business people involved?
I can give you another scenario.
Yes.
I know of a prominent bar in Grenada that had a promotion that once you can prove that you are not fully vaccinated, but you get your first shot when you enter the bar, there was a specific incentive there. And I know of 9 individuals. I can call their name, I can tell you what it is. I know of 9 individuals just go and get vaccinated because of that benefit.
Just to get that benefit.
So
understand the country that we live in.
Right. So do you think that we should be encouraging more businesses to partner with the Ministry of Health to incentivize the vaccination program?
That's the way to go.
Beautiful.
We're trying to act on our own too much rather than we partner. That's a problem, you know. But
let me ask you this. How are we sure that government or Ministry of Health or whomever has not reached out as yet to make that a possibility? Because the fact that they had the KFC promotion, which I didn't know about, or else I'd getting vaccinated twice. But how do we know?
You got twice.
Well, 4 times, 3 times, 4 times.
You just to get the KFC.
Just to get the
KFC, yeah.
But I'm saying, how do we know that these things have not been happening and there has been a pushback or a reluctance to do that?
That's the thing, and that's what I'm saying. More needs to be done, not just with partnering and everything, you know. Publication has a lot to do with it. Let me just share this, right? If I go out the road now, Miss Duncan, and I say, Miss Duncan, she is a big thief, everybody run with that.
Disclaimer, that is only theoretical, eh?
Yes, just an example. Miss Duncan is not a thief. I have no evidence of that. Don't bring me in court. I'm just using an example. Everybody runs with that because she get a piece of soap, or we say we get a cup of tea on Miss Duncan. And 4 months down the line, everything is cleared up, and it was just proven that, no, that was a lie.
Right.
Who takes the initiative to go back out there and say, listen, I said that about Miss Duncan, but it's a lie?
Nobody.
But then, even if it was cleared up 4 months after, 6 months, a year after, you're still being called a thief,
Yeah.
Because
damage is done. Damage is already done.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of the times when things happen, we have to do a lot of damage control.
Excellent
We don't, and we have to understand the society we live in. We don't do damage control. The damage is done, and we're trying now to see how best we can put out the good out there. But then check the negative and the impact that was already done. What are you doing to actually alleviate it?
Absolutely. That's a very good point, caller. Very good point. But as Mr. Bola said, I know you had something else that you wanted to say.
Take it away
but
from
I
the
just wanted to clear up that first section, because anybody who listens to me knows that I like resolutions. I like us when we put in things out there, we have a resolutions for them. But go ahead, caller.
Yes. So now, I asked a question about school, and well, not a question about school. I gave the scenario of the school and the church, and I'm hitting public offices now. That's where I'm going with that. Because if you are part of something and you are part of me and you represent me, but you are not walking the walk that I am putting out there, there needs to be some implications. We understand it's a free choice. And if it's a free choice for persons that represents you, the way that we're coming out, it should be a free choice for the person that you're trying to actually get out the message there too. If you understand what I'm saying. We all understand that we have citizens and we have the citizens' rights and all them we understand this thing. But here's what. If I am working in the breweries, making Stag and Carib, but not one day you will see me drink a Stag and Carib, that speaks to me. If I am producing a product, if I'm cooking lunch to sell, and I ain't eating my own food, I don't expect anybody to buy my food. Yeah, I let the message get across.
Definitely.
No, you're getting the message
If
out.
we have the government is trying to actually sensitize people and speak and say not much people coming out and we have people that are representing you that is not even fulfilling what you're asking the general public to do, we have a problem.
Right. So let me ask you this, caller, because that's a very, very good point. And I totally agree that if you are doing something to benefit the rest of the population and the persons that you have employed to help you have not even engaged in what you're doing, then it does leave a question. So my question to you would be, how do you think, right, because you have a lot of suggestions, and I think it's very good conversation. How do you think government, because I'm assuming it's government we're speaking about now, how do you think government can speak to their employees, encouraging them to take that bold leap?
Then again, that one could be a very ticklish something, but then sometimes sacrifice has to be made to get the outcome or the goal, right? And that's why I bring the point of local businesses.
Right.
And businesses are being harmed by that.
Right.
Yeah? But then sometimes we want to look, and that's again a thing that happens to a society. We look and we condemn something, or we endorse something, I should say, when it's not affecting us.
When it's not affecting us.
However, when it's time that we affect it, you see that it will affect you, we have all the justification and the reason as to why.
Yes.
And that's where that bridge needs to cut from minister, come right down.
Right. So, Caller, I wish you had tuned in yesterday. I don't know if you did, but this would have been really good for yesterday's conversation, because yesterday, as we were speaking, and I, along what you are heading to, I can see where mandatory vaccination is important, right? You can't force people to do what they do not want to do, but then there are cases and instances in which it becomes a necessity. So how do you weigh the necessity of being vaccinated against a person's right to not get vaccinated? Now, as I said, that is a conversation that needs to happen between whatever legal minds, employees in Federation, and what's the next one, Mr. Bola? Chamber of Commerce.
Did say all of that yesterday.
Right, and the Trade Unions Council need to sit around the table and, as people say, have a big man conversation about how this thing is going to affect our country, not just now, but how it's going to affect us in the long run. Because right now you can say, me, I ain't getting vaccinated and I don't want to get vaccinated and nobody can make me get vaccinated. It is my right? And the trade unions in support of their membership might say, yes, don't let it force you. They can't make you do what you don't want to do. But then in the long term, you see countries saying, well, these people have not met the quota to be vaccinated. This country is not suitable for travel, and our economy suffers. Now, if our economy suffers, that translates to private business individuals suffering. That translates to cutbacks in employment, cutbacks in production, and that translates to individuals being affected by that one decision that you had months down the line to make, that you saw was your right to do, but now affects you in the future. So it needs to be a serious conversation with no politics involved, no malice involved, just an adult conversation about what this means for us as a country. And I want to advocate that these individuals, as soon as possible, start having this conversation. What are the employers' right? And the Trade Union Council lays out what are the employees' right. And then the lawyers sit and discuss what are the rights of the people, both employers and employees. And given the circumstances of a public health emergency, are those rights still available to you?
Yeah,
and that's a conversation we need to have.
And that's why I said it before. And it's, for such a small country, we just try to do we think on our own tomat. So government want to do it on their own, and then this sector want to do it on their own, and that branch want to do it on their own.
Right.
Why not come together, sit at a round table, and let's weigh out the pros and the cons and see how best
collaboration.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because let's, for example, that one, I might get a hard lash with that one. Let's just take, for example, the 4% increase on teachers. Right?
Well, it's for all public servants,
For
not
all
just
public
the church.
servants,
Yes.
right? And the trade union is going at it.
Right.
All right? At it. They feisty on that. I haven't heard any trade union speak as to regards to the aspect of vaccination.
Right.
And we government meeting with trade union to talk this and talk that. I haven't heard of any trade union, because remember, trade union represents employees.
Right.
I haven't heard of any instances where the government met with trade unions such as
They did. I can tell you for a fact. They did.
And that's why I use the word I haven't.
Yeah, you had. Well, that's what I'm telling you now. They did. They had asked them. The responses were mixed. There were those who said they will not tell the members what to do. There were some who felt, well, at the leadership level, we'll take it to lead by example, but it's up to the workers. But they did. They very early.
And that's what I'm saying. Now, the whole thing about it was done. However, the publication or the public
doesn't know. Well, I accept that. That so sometimes
that's where we have to focus.
The PR is weak in a lot of instances, and the public don't know.
Because right now, unemployment, as we know, is on a hell high in Grenada.
Yes.
And right now, a lot of the jobs, especially in the hospitality industry, which was one of the areas that was affected drastically as a result of COVID. And
probably the worst hit.
Worst hit.
Sector, yes.
Now you going and there are vacancies. And guess what?
It comes with conditions.
When you go to the interview, one of the main conditions is that you must be vaccinated.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a conversation we started yesterday, which we must have, and we're trying to get a legal mind to assist us with that. Because, we want to be very balanced here. And I am not an expert, neither is Ms. Duncan, either on medicine or on law. But we believe some way there are rights that will be infringed. But
there are rights that will be infringed, because let's look at it that way now. Now, understanding the unemployment situation, that leads to desperation, right?
Yes.
Now, I go to an interview and you tell me, all right, I can get the job, but I must be vaccinated. I am putting aside all of my medical thoughts because I'm desperate right now. And that's the thing. We are too reactive rather than proactive. We like to react rather than put things in place. So somebody that has a health condition never had a discussion with a doctor, and in the spur of the moment was told, guess what? You need to be vaccinated to get this job. Listen, out of desperation, mine, a single mother of 5 children, don't know where you understand what I'm saying, and to more kind of behavior there, and that they have an opportunity for that job. Let's look at that thought process there. And there are many other scenarios or examples that you can bring up in that light.
Yes.
So we need to be a bit more proactive, and that's what I'm saying. We're hearing a lot of vaccination talk, but a lot of the talks are reactive rather than proactive.
So we're getting down. I want to ask you a very specific question now, and I hope you will not shun away from it.
No.
Are you pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine?
Am I pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine?
Yes. As it relates to the COVID-19 vaccination.
So, as it relates to listeners that may not understand the high complex question, break it down.
Will you get vaccinated?
Will you get vaccinated and encourage people to, or are you one of those who?
I was the first person in Grenada to get vaccinated.
You can't be the first person. I think from what the television show, they show Prime Minister and a little team getting it.
When I said one of the first.
Oh, one off. Oh, I thought you said I was the first person. Sorry.
No.
Sorry. Okay, great. There's just one little thing I want to hit back on. You made a very interesting and important point that, I think Ms. Duncan took it up, but it's something that we need to keep in the fore and not trivialize. The fact that those who are encouraging must lead by example.
Right.
Meaning that some people want to promote get vaccine, but they're not. And that doesn't augur well. But
because, for example, and I like that you bring that, and the reason why I brought that point, I had a discussion with a medical professional in the Ministry of Health. Didn't know that I was vaccinated. And come and advocating getting vaccinated. So me being the analytical person that I am, and I tend to use a lot of psychology on people, but it's based on my studies. And I asked her, I said, you get vaccinated? Yeah, I get vaccinated. Hey, man. I said, show me your vaccination card. Fumbles. I say, when you get home, send me a picture of it. Because fumbles, excuse. It has been 4 days. pastor say, you really get vaccinated? Oh, no, but you know the work and the profession I'm in, you know, I'm expected to.
Oh, wow.
So then I send them my picture of my vaccination card. I said, so where do we stand? Who should be encouraging who now? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
In that case, I was already vaccinated.
Yes.
Right.
But let's say that person was talking to a group of people that was really considering being vaccinated,
yes.
but just was not able to prove that they themselves was vaccinated. What will be the end result?
Right. And you jump the answer. I was about to say to you that we have become so accustomed and so used in this country to accepting mediocrity. We have become so used to accepting people based on their ability to be convincing with words but not action.
Correct.
You know, we have accepted for so long people who are not true to form that it is now part of the problem that we are being faced with. Those who are saying, do as I say but not as I do. Even with preachers, and you made an excellent point when you talk about some preachers having their children out in the world and wanting to tell their flock and the congregation that you know, you must not do X, Y, Z, and the people who sleep and wake in your house and who you provide for and feed are not doing any better. You know, so for too long we have accepted that kind of mediocrity. So now it is difficult, but I think we still have an opportunity to try. I think the point is for us to start now. I think with civil-minded people like yourself and others, we need to get something going. We need to probably demand more from our legislators or our people in charge. We need to expose more of what is not being done correctly. And I am not speaking from a political standpoint now. I'm speaking about Grenada and what is best for Grenada.
But also, Mr. Bola, in the demanding, we must also propose, because in order for you to know that something isn't right, you must know that something
What's
else
the alternative? What's the alternative? What is better than what is presently happening?
And that's where proactiveness comes in, because if you're being reactive, then the time that you're spending on thinking of the alternative and what if you were a bit more proactive, all these I's would have been dotted and T's would have been crossed.
Right.
So when it faces you, you understand? Because again, being proactive is not just looking at something face value on one way, but you look at it in all different angles. So when this thing come up, you can actually look at one another. You know, in a conversation, you say, but I said that would have happened, because you already think ahead. And that's what we need to start to do. We need to sit down around the table with the different stakeholders, the different people that are involved, the different people that has power, authority, and influence. Let's sit down and have a discussion. Yeah,
but
because at the same time, if the medical fraternity sits down with the lawmakers or the legal minds, then sit down with the government, and everybody sit down, then you have Chamber of Commerce, and then you have trade union. Everybody sit down, and you have because listen, the trade union might be able to say one, but then the medical minds will be able to say, all right, but why not do it so? Because they look at it at a medical point of view, and then the legal minds will look at it in a legal, and you have all those I's dots and T's crossed. So when the situation happens, then you have answers. So too many times, even in the press briefing, you see they have press briefing, and when certain questions are being asked, because it was not looked at in all different angles by people in the various professions, you see the people that are doing the press briefings shun away the question, or avoid the question, or give you an answer that makes them look, for lack of a better word, illiterate. Because that round table discussion never happened.
Right.
So we've been advocating that right on this program, that there need to be that round table, and we hope that our voices are not just going out in vain. But here's what. We really appreciate that conversation, but we're running out of time quickly. And we really do hope that you can give us a call some other time, because the discussion will continue. We believe it is necessary to try to beat back. Doing our little bit, we don't know how much people are taking us seriously, how much we're reaching, but we believe at least if it's one per day, we can convince to do the correct thing, that we are making progress. But people like you should at least speak up a little more, and this is a forum through which you can speak, and doesn't mean that you necessarily have to agree with everything we say every time. Yes. Because we do encourage people who have opposing views to ours to please call or share something on the live. We accept it because we are not, and we are quite aware that we are not the repository of all knowledge and information, but we try to be factual, we try to be balanced, and of course we would encourage good conversation. So caller, we really, really do thank you for your involvement this morning.
All right. Thank you so much. Very good conversation, and what a way to wind down.
Yeah, you have just about a minute and a half. No more calls, but at least you could have read. You had to read
some of the comments.
So that's why I'm saying now you will read the comments so that we can lock off.
All right. One individual is saying, please let the member of parliament step up. Let the members, of parliament step up, encouraging their constituents to take the vaccine. We should challenge all. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a moment. Okay, we should challenge all leaders to take position on vaccination. They should not be permitted to stay silent and discourage other people. And that is a very important point. Yeah. You cannot be for it in silent because it's just the same as being against it. Yep. Another one is saying, Ms. Duncan, right now there is a Grenadian in a certain country, went out to work, and his work permit expired, and he said that they told him he has to take the vaccine to get the permit renewed. Every country has their own policy. Mr. Buller, we have a call coming on the overseas line, and we have not had anyone from the diaspora share this morning, so I just want to give this person an opportunity. Granted that they are staying under a minute.
No, they can take a minute. A minute. Please. Good morning, caller. Good morning. Thank you for calling. We don't have a lot of time left.
Good morning. Very, very interesting conversation. But my question quickly.
Yes.
If we arrive in Grenada on a Saturday,
right,
about midday, does that day count as part of the quarantine? Because
it's 24 hours. It is 24 hours, and they count it from the time you arrive. 24 hours being counted from the time you arrive.
JetBlue will be arriving at about 12:38 on Saturday, the 3rd.
Yes.
Right.
So that Saturday does not count.
Yes,
no, counts.
It counts. I'm saying to you that your 24 hours, if you are fully vaccinated and can prove that, starts counting from your arrival time in the country.
Okay, because the problem we're having is that they don't know if we've been told 2 days, we've been told 3 days, or the different places that are booked.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only for quarantine purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to find other location for the rest of the vacation.
Okay, well, I have to tell you this because something just came up, and let me just quickly see if I can get it again. And I'm glad that you called, and I was hoping that you were listening so that I could read it to you. I can give a synopsis. It basically states that individuals who are traveling with fully vaccinated individuals who are traveling with individuals who are also fully vaccinated and can request for a 48-hour home quarantine, right? So if you are fully vaccinated and you have a house and all of the people traveling with you are also fully vaccinated, you can apply for home quarantine. Even if there are people living in the house, minus children, so no children are included in this. But even if there are people living in the house and those people are fully vaccinated, you can quarantine for the 48 hours with those individuals, providing that they are willing to quarantine 48 hours with you.
Well, we are all going to be doing the hotel thing.
Okay.
But the issue was that some hotels say 3 days, some hotels say 2. So we didn't want to miss a day standing there with our luggage and no place to stay for that 1 day in between. So that's the issue.
Right, but it's 48 hours quarantine. I guess they're probably saying 3 days in the event that there's a backlog or something of the sort. Maybe that's just a precautionary measure. But from the Ministry of Health's point of view, it's 48 hours and then you can be released.
Well, I can guarantee you that everybody in this group is fully vaccinated.
Wonderful.
And 2 weeks has passed since they got their second vaccine.
That's
vaccine.
wonderful.
Yes.
That's
well,
wonderful.
okay. Thank you. And this conversation that was just happening there, it was so educational. Everybody up here is listening. I mean, everybody in the group is listening, and it was really informative.
Thank you.
There should be much more of those. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. We try our best. We try to have good, relevant conversation, and safe flight getting into Grenada.
Oh yes.
All right.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Grenada.
Yes. All right. Good morning to you too, and we're excited to have you guys.
We'll be there.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Well, Mr. Bola, we are out of time this morning. Any closing words?
Well, I just want, we're entering into another weekend. And of course, weekend is the time when most of us feel we have a little opportunity for greater relaxation, for our life, for drinking an extra beer or Guinness or whatever it is, alcohol consumption that we engage in. I just want to appeal to our people again, just be careful.
Absolutely.
Careful. I mean, most of us drop our guards because we think at present there are no positive cases in Grenada and it's okay, we're doing well, as we were speaking this morning, our immune system is strong enough, and all of those theories that we come up with. The fact is, as we oftentimes say here, we don't know where, we don't know when, we don't know who. With all of the precautions that the administration have in place, the fact that our legal ports of entry, they're doing what they're supposed to do to be protective. We know how porous our borders are. We know that people can slip in coming from any part of the Caribbean. We know what's happening in Trinidad. We know the situation in St. Vincent, in Jamaica, in Barbados. They are worse off as it relates to COVID and positive cases than we are in Grenada. And all it takes is for one contaminated individual to slip through the net and get involved in the public and start spreading it. Our best chance is vaccination. We don't have a long time left with what we have in stock based on what the Ministry of Health has given to us. It's only a couple of days. By the 17th of this month, if you did not take your first shot, chances are you don't know how long you will have to wait for you to get, because you need to take your first shot by the 17th in order for you to get the second shot before the expiry date of what they now have in stock.
Right.
After that is finished, it may be a while. Nobody knows how long, because internationally there's no vaccine available now for shipping out of the various places where they are being made. So let's not take for granted that it's going to come next week, next month, 2 months from now. We don't know. We hope sooner than later. We really hope and pray. So do what you're supposed to do. And in the meantime, if you're not vaccinated, please obey the protocols. Use a mask when you're going out into the public. Try not to be engaging too much large crowds. Wash your hands as regularly as you can and sanitize. If you don't have running water and soap, wash your face. Continue to take the precaution as you used to when we just learned about COVID and we went under lockdown. Try to eat well. Try to maintain a good physical health, and at the same time you should be able to maintain your immunity strength. And for those who have the opportunity, please do get vaxxed, because it is our best chance of beating COVID, remaining alive, remaining healthy, remaining well, and helping our country to continue to move forward. Have an enjoyable day and a blessed weekend, everyone.
All right, guys, we have come to the end of our program for today. And as we say here every day, in whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe and be secure, and also be responsible. It's been a pleasure being here with you. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a safe weekend. And please adhere to the protocols. Stay tuned for the national report. It has been a pleasure, guys.